Okay, we've got a slow motion video analysis of Josh Beckett. This footage was captured at Fenway Park in Boston this past summer. We used the high-speed video camera. You can see there's a little bit lower level of quality on the video. It's shot at 480 frames per second, I believe. Typical, just your average camcorder shooting, real speed is typically about 30 frames per second. Due to the nature of delivering a pitch, the speed of the arm would cause it to blur if you were shooting it in normal frames per second. With this video, you can see Beckett has a guy on first base, so he's thrown out at the stretch. He's in a pretty comfortable position here. He's got his feet relatively close together. He's a big, tall guy, so he's kind of upright. He's got his hands relaxed, kind of gathered at the belt. And we'll kind of go into it. We're going to hit on a few different things. We're going to take a look at what he does with his front hip, his back hip pocket right there. We're going to watch his arm action. We're going to check out his stride, his release point, and then his finish. Okay, so in this first time through, we'll kind of focus on what he does with this front hip right here. As he begins his delivery, he's going to lift his knee up and back towards his throwing shoulder, exposing back hip pocket, leading with back hip pocket. That's going to help keep the hips closed, store some power there. Boom, he's about to get into foot strike right there. So hips are still closed. As his foot is about to land, we'll go ahead and continue, and you're going to see the hips begin to turn, bringing the torso through, shoulders, arm, baseball, finish right there. Okay. This next time through, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring it back, and now we're going to watch just his arm action. Okay, so hands are going to separate as he begins to move forward. Arm swings down, back, coming back up. Okay, now, so this is a checkpoint that a lot of people use, foot strike, or some people call this power position. So as his foot comes down, you can see his shoulders are still closed. His hips are actually still closed too. Arm action here is bringing that arm up into that kind of loaded position. One thing that you want to watch, and I'll just point this out because a lot of people make a pretty big deal about it right now, is people talk about an inverted W. Beckett actually does not have an inverted W, but I'll show you what they're talking about there. People who throw with an inverted W, their elbows basically pick up their arm. So it's almost like, you'd have strings attached to your elbows pulling your arms up. So his, Mark Pryor kind of made it famous. His back elbow at foot strike would be, about ear height, and his front elbow would as well. Okay. Now, a lot of people think that that's why Mark Pryor's arm is blown up. That's why Kerry Wood, Joel Zamaya. There's a lot of people who throw with that type of arm action that have had complications, with their shoulder or their elbow. I personally do think that it does put more stress on your shoulder and elbow when you throw like that. If you look at the guys who have been successful and thrown the baseball effectively and injury-free for 20 plus years, Nolan Ryan, Greg Maddux, Tom Seaver. There's a lot of guys out there who were able to do it for a long period of time and stay injury-free. Roger Clemens is one of those guys. They all throw with a different type of arm action. Their hand picks up their arm. So we'll look at some video of some of those guys and how they do things. But just wanted to point that out as we were going through Beckett's arm action here. Right here. So we got a foot strike. Boom. Okay, now everything's still closed up, and what you're going to see is you're going to see the hips turn first, bringing the torso through. Arm is up, elbow still at shoulder level. And now as he fully turns forward towards his target, you watch his arm. Okay, so you've seen his arm lay back flat. This is called external rotation. His arm is externally rotating backward that way, lay back flat. all power pitchers, okay, and really every major league pitcher is going to throw with this type of action, okay, so the arm's going to lay back flat, going to create a whipping action, and now the next few frames you're going to witness the fastest movement in sports, okay, so throwing a baseball or pitching a baseball at a high speed is the fastest thing that happens in sports, okay. This is why you see so many pitchers break down, because you got small muscles, tendons and ligaments in the elbow and the shoulder that are being subjected to one of the most violent forces in sports. So from here, he's going to, I'm just going to gradually move this forward. From here, he's going to accelerate his arm forward, kind of whipping, boom, boom, right there. And this is probably, that's about release point right there. And you can see, I think he's releasing a little bit in front of his front foot. Now that is not typical. Most big league pitchers release right at front foot. Power pitchers, probably guys who are throwing 95 plus, end up releasing way out front of front foot. There's a video on YouTube somewhere, Tom House, famous pitching coach, is breaking down Aroldis Chapman and why he throws 106 miles an hour, and that was one of the big things. Aroldis Chapman releases like 1.5 feet in front of his front foot, and he already has a huge stride, so that's one of the things to look for. Okay, now since we're here, all right, so we're already at release point, let's just go ahead and move right into finish and kind of talk about what he does after he releases the baseball. So, he spent the last phase accelerating his hips, his torso, basically accelerating his arm forward to deliver this fastball here. And now, once that ball comes out, he enters the deceleration phase. So you're going to see things slow down, and he's going to continue to power his front, or his chest into his front side. Okay, big finish and follow through, so the arm come all the way through and complete that big arm circle. And you see that back side come through, and basically his energy went from back here driving forward into that front leg, and he kind of stays under control right there. You see a lot of people, and especially a lot of developing athletes, like young kids, when they deliver that good energy, if they don't deliver it into this front side, you'll see them lose their balance or fall off to one side. So that's an important thing, because right here, okay, he finishes, and he's in a pretty good position. I mean, he's standing straight up, basically, but he is, he's squared with his target. As his front foot would come down, he'd be in an okay position to field. So that's a pretty good finish there for Beckett. The last thing we're going to take a look at, just briefly, is his stride. Okay, so stride length is one of the biggest factors in creating a lot of velocity. You see the guys like Tim Lincecum, Aroldis Chapman is also someone who's got enormous stride. The guys who throw extremely hard have huge strides, and really what it comes down to is, we'll get this started again, this back leg. So all the energy stored right there. Now he's going to start driving himself forward, all right, driving himself forward, and boom, right here, you're going to see this hip get driven forward, this knee full extension in his ankle as well. So, I mean, he's basically driving that backside through, okay, which turns his torso, his core rotates, shoulders come around, that brings his arm through, whips it all the way out front, big focus and finish right there. And that's how one of the most dominant power pitchers of our generation does it. Again, we went through with the slow motion video so we could see different components of the delivery, things that we wouldn't be able to see with the naked eye, or even if we were trying to watch slow motion videos shot with a lower speed camera.